Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we are once again going to be talking about that upcoming major snowstorm that we have going on for the middle portion of this upcoming week. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting store in the description and the pinned comment down below, and also our Patreon page where we're going to be uploading a post about that snowstorm that's coming beforehand, bringing quite a bit of snowfall to Oklahoma, surrounding states, and then even the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic just before our major snowstorm. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, which of these 4 cities do you think will get the most snowfall? Either DC, Philadelphia, New York City, or Boston. Let me know in the comments down below which one of those cities you think is going to end up with the most snowfall from this system. Give me a reason why, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, here's a little sneak peek at that more minor snowstorm coming through. This is going to be by this afternoon. We see heavy or moderate to heavy snowfall for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, and then eventually that's going to move up into the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. Again, if you want to see that total snowfall according to the models, you can check out our very exciting Patreon page where we're going to be posting that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to finally get into that major upcoming snowstorm. Could be one of the biggest snowstorms in the last few years for the eastern United States. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Now, I wanted to talk about our Facebook group real quickly, just like I did yesterday. Guys, we went up by over 300 members yesterday when I shouted it out. So I'm going to shout it out again because it's been such an awesome place to interact with you guys. If you guys want to talk about the weather, keep up with these model runs as they come out, and just interact with other weather lovers, including myself, you can join down below in the description, in the pinned comment. We're going to have that link there for you guys. We're taking a look at about 7 a.m. on Wednesday, December 16th. And as you can see, we're going to start seeing some snowfall for the Ohio Valley, areas like Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, where we could get a couple of inches of snow. That's really the more minor area of this snowstorm. We're seeing maybe some freezing rain or some mix going on there for North Carolina and portions of Virginia. Let's just take it to a little bit later in the afternoon, maybe approximately 4 p.m. there on Wednesday. And as you can see, we still have some of that snowfall going on for Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. But really, you can see the highlight of this storm at this point is for Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and even up through Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, including Pittsburgh, seeing some snow showers probably as well. Now, what we're going to do here is we are going to move on and we're going to zoom into the Northeast, where we're going to see that very heavy snowfall begin for areas like New York City, New Jersey, New England, including Boston. And this storm is just, again, like I said, just looking like an absolute all-out blockbuster East Coast snowstorm, potentially even a blizzard. There's a slim chance of that as well. We'll talk about that in the coming days. Big, big snowstorm on the way. Now, we're taking a look at about 10 p.m. now on Wednesday, and as you can see, we have our low pressure center offshore of the Delmarva. We have very heavy snowfall going on for northern Virginia, the eastern panhandle of West Virginia there, which I just learned about from you guys yesterday, that it's called the eastern panhandle. We have the areas in western Maryland there, and then also pretty much all of Pennsylvania at this point, including Philadelphia, including Pittsburgh getting some moderate snowfall, and then the northern half there of New Jersey, as well as New York City and Long Island. Southern New England is starting to get in on this one. The one thing I want to draw your attention to is notice we're starting out as a mix. Again, this is about 10 p.m. on Wednesday for areas like DC, areas like Baltimore, maybe even Philadelphia, but most of Maryland, Northern Virginia there, we're seeing some sort of mixing going on. But as we move on towards about 4 a.m. here on Thursday, you can see that we begin to see all snow for these areas as that cold air moves in. So at some point overnight, that mixing is going to come to an end for some of those areas closer to the coast. There is some huge implications with this storm that could change up a lot of things. I can recall a lot of storms earlier in seasons where we thought the coast was going to get a lot more snowfall than they did because they just could not switch over to full snow. I really hope that doesn't happen here because I know a lot of you are looking forward to snowfall. So we have our fingers crossed that does not occur. That's the type of thing we won't know until very close to the storm. But we can see generally some very heavy snowfall going on pretty much from DC up into the eastern half of Pennsylvania, most of New Jersey there, Long Island, New York City, southern upstate New York, I guess you could call it, all of Connecticut, all of Rhode Island, and then some moderate snowfall going on for Boston and Massachusetts. But look at how close that low pressure center is to New Jersey there. That is right on shore, and that's why we're seeing rain there along the coast and along those southern regions. The low pressure center is right above you guys, and that brings warm air into the middle and upper layers of the atmosphere there. So that leads to some sleet or rain potentially for the areas very close to the low pressure center. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards the very tail end of this storm, where we're going to see New York to Boston get a lot of snowfall. And then we're just going to move on, take a look at what our other two models, the GFS and the Canadian model, have to say. And then we're going to get into that total model guidance snowfall forecast according to all of these models. Now, this frame is probably by about, I would say, 10 a.m. here on Thursday morning. And as you can see, most of that snowfall is going on for eastern Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey now. So the areas that were having mixing issues are seeing snowfall now because that low pressure center has shifted further east as it's heading out to sea. As you can see, we see Long Island all snow, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and then even Boston. There looks to be a heavy area of snowfall according to this model that sets up throughout those regions. There is many models that have it very far south of there. These are all things that these models are going to have to figure out. And again, this is all just model guidance. I had a lot of people yesterday trying to act like this was some sort of forecast or this is my forecast. I'm just going over the models right now with you guys. There is no forecast according to me yet at all. I don't think I will have one until maybe Monday or Tuesday. I will come out with my first forecast. Until then, I'm just walking through what the models are showing to you guys. So I just don't want there to be any confusion there. This is a model guidance update, and that's all it is. So let's just take this to about 4 p.m. here on Thursday. And as you can see, it's going to be coming to an end for New England. We finally see a little bit of snowfall there at the very tail end, coming to an end. But these areas are going to tack on a couple more inches there during the early evening. Let's move on, take a look at that GFS, see the differences. It has that mixing going on also earlier in the storm there. But as we get to the tail end, look at this. This is only according to the 6Z model run here, and this has changed significantly from what it was calling for before. But this is kind of the tail end of the storm. It has New York City and very far southern New England getting quite a bit of snowfall. But Boston, it keeps you out of the bullseye. So there are some huge differences now according to the models. But we see our Canadian model is in full agreement. It does have that mixing going on there for DC, Maryland, Philadelphia, but it eventually switches over to all snow. And then we still see that bullseye from eastern Pennsylvania and through New York City, and then southern New England, including Boston there in the bullseye according to that model. All right, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to take a look at the total snowfall forecast according to our European model, GFS model, and then finally our Canadian model. Then I'm going to close out the video. All right, now first things first, we're taking a look at that European model. We're taking a zoomed out look because I want you guys to be able to see the Ohio Valley quickly. And as you can see, we're expecting a couple of inches potentially in those blues there. Let's just go ahead and zoom into the Northeast now for our major snowstorm. If you're anywhere in the grays, you're taking a look at about a dusting, if anything. If you're in the blues, you're at about an inch to maybe 6 inches of snow. If you're in the purples, you're taking a look at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. If you're in the pinks, you're taking a look at about 10 to 20 inches of snow. And if you're in those kind of teal or pastel colors there, you're at about 20 to 30 inches of snow. And where it turns kind of pinkish purple, that's where we're taking a look at this model calling for 30 inches plus there. So mostly for northeastern Pennsylvania and central Pennsylvania, as you can see, maybe even northwestern New Jersey. Very, very interesting here. Again, this is only a model forecast. The one thing I wanted to mention, I found this quite interesting. Take a look at just north of DC there. We're taking a look at maybe a foot of snow. And then if you take a look at just south of DC, we're taking a look at maybe an inch of snow. So if this thing shifts any further north or any further south, there's going to be some areas that go from a foot of snow to practically nothing, or go from practically nothing to a foot of snow. So this is by no means finalized, and I see a lot of people getting excited, and I want to put the emphasis, and I want you guys to pump the brakes, because this storm with any minor shifts, which there will certainly be some very minor and major shifts at some point during the forecast as we get closer, because these models jump all over the place, and they've been doing it especially this year. The confidence is very low in the location, guys. So I want you guys to really, really take this one with a grain of salt and not get overly excited, because I really just do not want people to be disappointed by the end of this storm. I've seen it time and time again, and I really don't want that to happen. The GFS model, as you can see, there's a huge difference here. Boston, it's expecting about 3 inches of snow, whereas the European model was calling for about 17 inches of snow. So again, that's just a good example of the differences here. And it does have the areas in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, the very far southern regions of Massachusetts, getting around 10 inches of snow. It has a bullseye from about Winchester, Virginia, all the way up through maybe northern New Jersey. So that includes DC, Philadelphia, a bit there. It does call for about 20 inches of snow in those kind of white shades that are inside the pink there, but nothing like what the European model was calling for. And then finally, our Canadian model here. And this one it looks a lot more like the European model as opposed to the GFS model. It actually looks a little bit maybe like some areas north of New York City, north of Boston in the bullseye. But regardless, it does have a bullseye setup of about 20 to 30 inches there from south central Pennsylvania, or maybe southeastern Pennsylvania, up through northern New Jersey, up into northwestern Connecticut, and then it kind of just slashes straight through central Massachusetts and even into southern New Hampshire as well, all with those 20-inch amounts. But regardless, all three of these models are calling for a very, very major snowstorm to set up, and that's been the one thing that's been consistent. We know there's going to be a major snowstorm. That location could definitely vary where those heaviest totals set up. So I really want you guys to stay tuned. It's okay to be excited, but again, don't be too sure of anything because we do see these model shifts happen very, very commonly from time to time. And again, if you want to keep up with what the models are calling for the latest, they do update 4 times a day. You can join our Facebook group down below where we talk about it all the time. It's Weather Freaks. You can check it out in the description and the pinned comment down below. I would love to see you guys there. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what do you think the maximum amount of snow is anybody's going to see from this storm? And Cam said some people will end up seeing 2 feet of snow with this system. And I agree. I think anywhere from about 15 to 24 inches of snow will pretty much be set up in the bullseye. Now, for today's Patron highlight of the day, you could see we changed things up a lot. I kind of put it in more of like a linear fashion, so it'd be easier to read off and easier for you guys to see. And I realized that very shortly we're going to have to actually add a second graphic where we kind of just switch from one to the other. I think maybe we will do the platinum patrons, the diamond patrons, and then the normal patrons all separately. Now let's just get right into it. First things first, I want to thank our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, Justin Quantrell, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis. Alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Cherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalesa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. If you would like to be on this patron end screen, you can do so by joining our Patreon in the description and the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.